Hello and welcome to episode 186. I am Cornelius Fichtner. This is the Project Management Podcast recorded in the beautiful town of Solothurn in Switzerland. Nice to have you with us. In this episode, we are going to take a look at the Agile Manifesto, and in particular, we are going to take a look at what the Agile Manifesto means for us as project managers. This episode is available both as an MP3 audio file and also as a video file. So if you're listening to the audio and would like to see the video, come to the website. And if you're watching the video and you would prefer hearing just the audio, well, come also to our website. So why are we taking a look at Agile in this presentation? Well, as many of you probably know, we here at the Project Management Podcast, we also have several PMP exam prep products like the Project Management Prepcast. Loosely stated, the PMP exam is largely based on a waterfall-like approach. This year, PMI has announced that they will be offering an Agile certification. And of course, this interests me as a trainer of PMP exam, as well as a trainer of general project management know-how here on the podcast. That's why I have decided that I'd like to also bring you a number of episodes about Agile methodologies and interviews with project managers who use Agile approaches here on the podcast. It's about time, many of you are probably thinking. And to start this journey into Agile, we have to go all the way back to the beginning of Agile movement, to the Agile Manifesto. To be precise, well, to be really precise, it's the Agile Manifesto, it's the Manifesto for Agile Software Development. That's what it's called. And today it's simply known as the Agile Manifesto at agilemanifesto.org. We are going to take a short look at the history, really short. Then we will review the manifesto itself, and then we'll jump into the discussion of the 12 principles that go along with the manifesto. And because this is the Project Management Podcast, we are going to, in this review, have a strong focus on project management. What does this Agile Manifesto, what does the manifesto itself, the 12 principles, mean for us as project managers? So here is the promised very short history of the Agile Manifesto. It all started in a skiing lodge where 17 proponents of various software development methods met to discuss better ways in which they could indeed manage these software development projects. Today, these 17 folks are known as the Agile Alliance. The manifesto itself was then released at the end of this three-day meet. It was from February 11th to February 13th, 2001. And on the February 13th, they released the manifesto. The manifesto itself is very short. You're going to see that in just a moment. It contains core values and principles. If you really want the in-depth history and why the person from England said, Agile might not be the best word to choose here, well then, why don't you go to agilemanifesto.org/history.html and read the complete history of how the Agile Manifesto came to be. Here is what the Agile Manifesto actually says. We are uncovering better ways of developing software by doing it and helping others do it. Through this work, we have come to value individuals and interactions over processes and tools, working software over comprehensive documentation, customer collaboration over contract negotiation, responding to change over following a plan. That is, while there is value in the items on the right, we value the items on the left more. All right, now that you've seen the manifesto and heard the manifesto, you saw that there were 4 core principles there, or statements rather, in the center. Let's take a look at these 4, the things that are valued higher than other things, and see what this means in regards to interpreting it for us project managers here. The first one was we value individuals and interactions over processes and tools. This means that we as project managers have to get used in an agile environment to let the team, the development team, and users cooperate together collaboratively. And we as project managers, we have to be able to foster these interactions between the individuals on our project. The second statement: working software is valued over comprehensive documentation. That is it's quite clear. We as project managers need to focus on delivery. However, remember that the statement at the bottom clearly said there is value in the items on the right. So comprehensive documentation, or documentation in general, there is value in documentation. So don't abandon documentation, and don't say that agile projects are projects where you just simply don't document your stuff. That is not true. Quite in the contrary, documentation is something that is needed, but it doesn't actually have to be all comprehensive, or we don't have to create a comprehensive documentation that is 6 tons in weight at the beginning of our project. The next statement was that we value customer collaboration over contract negotiation. This is something that I have personally done throughout my project management career. So to me, this is really not anything that is too new. I used to put the customer vision at the center of my projects, and I managed the relationships between me and the team, me and the customer. The end user was important, not the contract. And you won't believe how often the contract was, yeah, it's a piece of paper, and if really things go totally down the drain, then we're going to go back to it. But, you know, it's only a small problem. Let's try to work together collaboratively here and focus on that. So the relationship that you have, the friendship in some cases even with the customers, has really helped me a lot in my project. So I'm in full support here of this one. Then the last of these 4 statements was that we value responding to change over following a plan. For a project manager, this means that, well, change is inevitable. So go ahead and let the customers change their mind. Allow them to change their minds, because believe me or not, they're going to do it anyway, no matter what you do. So instead of putting all of these change management plans into effect that try to minimize change or try to push change away, allow change to happen. Use methodologies that are change friendly, that enable you to take these changes, welcome the changes, and implement them into the product that you're building for your customer. Yeah. And now that you've seen the manifesto and we've looked a little bit at it, what that means, this is usually the point when people say, yeah, right, this would never work in our company because, and here are 4 arguments why this would never work. Of course, these are meant completely tongue-in-cheek as an example of the resistance that Agile continuously faces. Let's look at the first one. We value individuals and interactions over processes and tools. Well, this is never going to work in my company because we have a PMO and we have a methodology and we have to follow this methodology, and there's just no way around it. And I have a personal example here why we value working software over comprehensive documentation didn't work for me just about 3/4 of a year ago, because that was when we were working on our new PMP exam simulator. And frankly, okay, I'm a bit of an old school project manager, so I like to document things up front. I wanted a comprehensive documentation simply because I also hadn't made up my mind yet what is going to have to be in this PMP exam simulator. And by going through this comprehensive documentation, well, I was able to define what it is that we needed. So would never have worked in our company here, the working software over comprehensive documentation. Customer collaboration over contract negotiation. Heaven no, not going to work in our company because of all these legal requirements that we have. We have the largest legal team that you can imagine, people will argue, and it's just not going to work. And last but not least, responding to change over following a plan. Well, good luck. We are a construction company. We do construction projects. This isn't going to work. We build bridges. We can't just suddenly change our mind and take change requests left and right from customer as we're building this. It's never going to work. Agile in our company, people will tell you, is not going to work. Yeah, so what are we to do? Well, frankly, I completely understand that agile approaches, agile methodologies may not work 100% on 100% of the projects, but that's not what agile is saying. Agile is for specific project types. And if you have that project type, then, well, do what you can. Focus on those areas of agile that you can implement. And remember, in the manifesto itself, it says there is value in the things on the right. So there is value on legalese, there is value in documentation, and there is value in methods and processes. Just in the agile space, we are trying to focus more on the items on the left. So do what you can in your circumstances. So much for the actual manifesto for agile software development. But wait, there is more, because in addition to the manifesto, the Agile Alliance has also given us 12 principles, because the Agile Manifesto alone, as you may have noticed, it's a bit too broad. What does all of this mean exactly? You need additional guidance, right? You want to know exactly, well, how should I do this? Give me a little more here. And that's what we have. These 12 principles that you can see here in this list. Don't worry if you can't yet read them, because we are going to go through these one by one, review them, and I'll give you my thoughts from a project manager's perspective. The first principle is talking about results orientation. It states that our highest priority is to satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery of valuable software. And to me as project manager, this once again means that a satisfied customer is not only my number one priority, but it's also here in the Agile Manifesto, the first principle. And that is why we have to deliver, kind of like location in real estate. And we once again must focus on our customer. We want to keep the customer happy, because the customer, well, pays the bill, and only if we have a customer will we have a project. The second principle looks at change management, and based on the manifesto, you can probably guess what's coming now. Change management has to be welcomed, and that's exactly what the second principle says here. Welcome changing requirements, even late in development. Agile processes harness change for the customer's competitive advantage. Yes, changes are good. And we as project managers, we will welcome these changes to help you as a customer, because you are my focus. You want the change. You know what's best for your business, what a competitive advantage is, and why you cannot go the way we had previously decided we needed to go. We have to change gears and go into a different direction, even this late in a game. For me as a project manager, it also means that I have to focus on features and not on budget, because as the project progresses, I am going to report to my customers on the features that were developed to the customer, not necessarily on the budget alone. What does 85% complete mean anyway? And if the customer asks, so how are we doing? My usual answer as a waterfall-based project manager was, well, we're within budget and we are still within the schedule. But the features really came last. And now in Agile, we're turning this around. We're talking about the features, we're telling people where we are with the features, and we welcome change on these features. Another important principle is principle 3 here, frequent milestones, because in the Agile space we will deliver working software frequently, from a couple of weeks to a couple of months, with a preference to the shorter timescale. So it's preferred to have a release every 2 weeks versus a release every couple of months. That of course means that we can help the customer to have a faster time to market, and that as a project manager also has to be our goal. Help the customer to be in the marketplace much faster. That's why when you listen to Agile project teams talk, they will discuss things like short sprints, short iterations, and short cycles. So everything is really quicker in regards to the release of the software. And by the way, there is one very important constraint, and that constraint is we are releasing on time. So if we have a sprint, an iteration, a cycle, a release every 2 weeks, we will release on time. We're not going to say, well, we're only 95% complete with these features, give us another couple of days, we'll release it then. No, we will release the working software on time. The consequence of this obviously is that if we release on time and we release working software on time, occasionally a feature will not be part of the current sprint. It will be pushed into the next sprint. The next two principles talk about how we work together. Principle 4 focuses on teamwork, and it says that business people and developers must work together daily throughout the project. This means for me as a project manager, I am no longer, as it has so often been, the single point of contact for my project. In fact, there is no more single point of contact in my project. Instead, I am going to bring the developers and the customers together, and I let the developers work directly with the customer, with the user, defining what the features are going to be, how exactly they are going to be working. For me as a project manager, that means that I have to focus on team development and also individual, personal development for the people on my project, so that they can in fact work together with the customers in this fashion. The big question is, of course, can they really do it? Well, the Agile Manifesto says yes, they can, here in Principle 5. Build projects around motivated individuals, give them the environment and support they need, and trust them to get the job done. And this now becomes the project manager's job in Agile. We have to provide them the environment, and we have to provide them with the support that they need in order to get their job done. And that means, as project managers, we now have to learn to embrace theory Y. And if you don't recall, Uchi's theory Y basically says that we believe that people are motivated, people want to do good work. And once you are embracing this theory and you're bringing people into this kind of an environment where you say, I trust you, I believe that you can do this work and you don't need me to guide you the whole way. What you are doing is you're stepping back. You're stepping back and you trust the people on your team to really get the job done. In Principle 6, Agile addresses communications management, and it says that the most effective and efficient method of conveying information to and within a software development team is face-to-face conversation. That, of course, means that, well, co-location is the key word. You have to bring people together. You have to be able to meet in person. That would be best. And if not, use modern technology like calling. Well, that's not exactly modern, but Skype would be more modern, where you can do video conferencing with your team. And by the way, this Principle 6 here to me is really just good communications management, no matter what you do. So this is not just for a software development team where the Agile Manifesto was originally focusing on. No, this is really for any team. As a project manager, you need to become a facilitator of these conversations even more than we were before. You have to possibly sit in to these conversations between the developers and the business side, and you have to become the translator. Happened to me quite often. The two sides meet, but they don't really understand each other. But you, as the project manager, who's kind of, you're or sort of skirting both sides of this line here, you understand how the business thinks, how the developer thinks, so you can be the translator, if you wish, of these effective face-to-face conversations. Principle 7 talks about progress measurement. I've kind of taken this one away ahead of time already, a few slides back. It says working software is the primary measure of progress. Yes, when we say we are on target, what do we really mean? In Agile, it's quite clear what we mean. We are on target with releasing working software, the features that you have asked for, and documents that we created and developed in the original early phase of the project. They don't really count as deliverables. And then the question, of course, comes, well, how do we do the internal reporting now? Because to the customer in this agile environment, we have to talk about features and releases that went out, but internally, they're still looking for certain key performance indicators, and earned value is a question that needs to be addressed. And percent complete, they still want to hear that. So how exactly do we do this? The Agile Manifesto in the principles doesn't really address this, but over time, very good tools and very good methods have been developed by many of the Agile proponents, and there is a way to do both, to have these internal reporting requirements met, as well as being able to be more agile towards the customer and report to the customer in an agile environment with the agile terminology. Principle 8 talks about software maintenance. In particular, it says that agile processes promote sustainable development. The sponsors, developers, and users should be able to maintain a constant pace indefinitely. Well, to me as a project manager, this almost means I'm no longer needed here, because this is post project. Remember, a traditional project has a beginning and an end, and here we are now really entering, well, the realm of maintenance in the way that this particular principle at least is phrased. In this area, what is done today is people use backlogs, burn down charts. They keep track in various ways of all the requests that are coming in as part of this sustainable, ongoing development, which of course means that there is a lot of prioritization that has to happen, which of the features come first, and a lot of collaboration has to happen. Again, collaboration between the sponsor, the customer, the user, and the developers in regards to how are we going to continue to maintain this software at this constant pace, which is continuing indefinitely. With Principle 9, we are moving into the realm of quality. It reads that continuous attention to technical excellence and good design enhances agility. Now, if you take this statement, this principle, and you compare it to previous principle, you will notice that this here really supports principles number 1 and 3, which were that we want to deliver valuable software and we want to deliver working software frequently. In order for us to do this, in order to be able to take in all those change requests, those updates that customers are giving us, and run through our 2-week, 3-week sprints and deliver good software, deliver working software very quickly, very fast to the customer, we really need a good design. Technically, our software has to be top-notch, because otherwise, well, it's not maintainable, it's not doable, what we want to do with this quick and fast turnover. So as the project manager in this area here, you can think of yourself as sort of becoming the conscience of the team. Ask them regularly, what about our technical excellence? Are we still at the top of this? Is our design still good enough in order to support the agility that we need to continuously deliver to the customer what we promised that we would? Principle 10, well, that's something that freaks out project managers like myself who come from a pure waterfall world. Just don't do things. The principle says that simplicity, the art of maximizing the amount of work that is not done, is essential. Okay, now, let's first of all say, Agile doesn't simply mean we're doing less. Agile means that simplification of the processes, making or using processes that work, is the central concept. Of course, this often means that there has to be some kind of a trade-off, because you cannot be just doing things simpler and simpler, or less and less of it, or not do things without something having to give a little bit. From my perspective, Principle 11 here is possibly the coolest of these 12 principles. It talks about team organization. The best architectures, requirements, and designs emerge from self-organizing teams. If you listen to Agile presentations, you will always hear that Agile believes that, well, we are dealing with intelligent people here. We're not dealing with sheep. We are dealing with people who know what they do. And now you have to let them organize. And self-organization doesn't necessarily mean that the team can do whatever it chooses. Far from it. The team still has a goal for which the project was called into life, and the team was formed to support, to achieve this goal. So we have a direction, but we are not going to tell the team in absolute detail how they have to be organized and how they will solve this challenge. That is their job. That is the self-organization. There are some basic rules, like the speed limit on the roads in your town, but I'm not going to tell you specifically how to drive from point A to point B in your town, because you know your town better than I do. However, what I can do as the project manager, and you have seen this word here several times already, as the project manager in an agile environment, I need to facilitate this self-organization. I have to make sure that the self-organization that was decided upon, that it actually delivers the high-quality results that we need. No matter what kind of methodology it is that you are using in your organization, this is definitely part of it. This is the 12th and last principle here from the Agile Manifesto. It talks about lessons learned. In particular, it says that at regular intervals, the team reflects on how to become more effective, then tunes and adjusts its behavior accordingly. I believe the big keyword here is throughout the project we're doing this. If you look at large, big, waterfall-like methodologies, you're doing this at the end. Not so in an agile project. You do these reflections throughout the project, because agility means changeability. Agility means that if you see that things just aren't working for us the way we had expected they would work, you have an opportunity to change. And the more often you reflect, the easier it is for you to adjust and make these changes to keep you on track. And that's it. That was our overview here on the Project Management Podcast of the Agile Manifesto and the 12 principles. Let me leave you with a short review here. I think the first thing to understand is that even in an agile world, there is room for us project managers. Yes, our role will probably change, and that is simply because the responsibility that we project manager have in a traditional project environment is going to be distributed among other team members. For me personally, it means that we traditional project managers in the agile environment, we are becoming more of a facilitator, helping the team understand how to do the project, bringing things together, being the glue kind of in the team. It may also mean that we will be given a different title, and titles could be things like Scrum Masters, Product Owner, or even Agile Coach. And that's it for today. Thank you very much for listening. As always, you can find us on the web at pm-podcast.com. And don't forget to check out our two sister podcasts. First of all, there is the PM Prepcast at pmprepcast.com. That will help you if you are preparing for the PMP exam. And just like the PM podcast, you can download it to your iPod and portable media player and study on the way to work. And if you are already a PMP, well, then you need PDUs. So check out the PDU podcast at pducast.com. Again, an easy way to earn your PDUs almost on autopilot via your iPod or any other kind of portable media player. Please send your emails to info@pm-podcast.com, and when you write, please tell me where in the world you are writing from. And finally, we have this. The difference between project success and failure is a good PR company. Until next time.